Welcome, everybody, to the Week 4 XFL show. We had a good group in here last week, and hopefully some more will join us. We know we've got a lot of fun things to watch today. We've got college basketball, we've got golf, we've got NBA later, but we've got an XFL slate, and there's still 25K up top. So we're going to do everything we can to break down these 4 games and help you guys find the winners. Before we get started, please be sure to hit that like button. We really appreciate it over here. And now let me go over to the guys. Of course, I've got SNYDER, I've got Bruce, and they're going to help us find some winners. So, Bruce, how are you doing today? And, how'd your XFL slate go last week? And what are you thinking about this week?
Going well. Just listen to some podcasts this morning, caught up on all the injury news and, that kind of thing. Last week was great. Cashed everything. Showdown slates were nice. That last game of the week was great. And this week looks like another good cashing week. It's a little bit harder to build lineups this week. There's some wide receivers that are priced up a little bit that are hard to get to, but I think we can. There's some decent value out there, some sneaky value, and a lot of injury news we'll get to as well.
Right. We'll definitely touch on the injuries as we go game by game. SNYDER, how are you doing? I know you're in the golf streets. You're making some great golf calls with the SNYDER's Soldiers. But how'd your XFL go last week? And what are you thinking about this week for XFL?
Yeah, it was pretty good last week. It was interesting to see more scoring last week in a couple of the games, at least. A couple of the games one went over 50 points, one went over 60 points, I believe, last week. So that was interesting to see more scoring last week. Pretty good week overall. I think my main lineup did well. And, looking forward to mixing up with you guys again and getting the winners from you guys again this week.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a lot of fun last week talking it through. It certainly helped my process. I had a very profitable week, and I'm looking forward to running it back with you guys here on the show and running it back and having a good week this week. Richie Smalls in chat says, first week trying XFL DFS, needs to try a core. The cores will be up after the show. I need to get my core up. So that's the great thing. If you're a Run Pure subscriber, we'll have some info in the Discord. You have Bobby's playbook, Bruce's projections, all of our cores. So a lot of resources in the XFL streets to help you kind of gain an edge on the field. And that's important, especially in a sport like XFL that doesn't have a ton of information out there. We're digging it up for you, and we're going to try to find some winners. Pre-show, before we get into the game by game, we kind of talked about just kind of the XFL and the way scoring has been. And, I know have been writing articles about kind of what I learn each week. And, basically it still seems like kind of going one running back and 4 receivers seems to be the move. I'm not saying that, we're going to have some weeks where that's, something else happens, but that seems to be the move. We also talked about maybe looking for some running back value. So I just want to get each of your take on that, just with the way the running back landscape is. Bruce, I'll go to you first. What is your take kind of just on running backs as a whole in this league and this week?
Yeah, there's just not many teams that run the ball a ton. I mean, you have DC that leads the league with 112 rushes through 3 weeks. After that, there's nobody in triple digits. You have San Antonio's up there. He likes to stay kind of balanced. Houston's OC said he hates running the football. That's I don't want any part of Houston unless it's Borgie, or Aileen there, because they pass the ball a little bit to those guys.
Right.
But DC, you have Abram Smith there, of course, at Armstead. Those are always valid plays every week. But yeah, other than those guys, if you look at the value, there's not much you want to get to just because the volume isn't there.
Right. Yeah. SNYDER, talk about how you were kind of talking about pre-show, what you're thinking for this week in regards to running back versus receiver.
Yeah, it's been tough with these running backs so far this year. I think this week, once again, I'm going to lean towards just one running back this week. And I think I'm going to try and save as much money as possible here at the running back position because we've got such good just consistent receivers that are priced up there this week. And I'm going to be looking to try and jam as many of those as I can here. So I'm going to be kind of almost nearly punting off a running back, or at least trying to save some salary there and not spend up there for sure.
Okay. I'm agreeing with both of you guys. Like the way I feel about the running back landscape in the XFL, the way I feel about kind of just more often than not running just one running back lineups, and then not afraid to punt off at running back so I can just really jam those value or volume receivers. Bruce, they're impressed is that table tennis in the background that you got on?
Yeah, it's esports. It's CS:GO. I think they're in between games, so
I like it. I like the background. The background's fun.
Someone's playing a little tennis there. Yeah.
I like it. All right, guys, before we jump in game by game, again, be sure to hit that like button. We almost have 40 people join us, which is great considering how much else is going on in the world of sports today. Hopefully more jump in and get our winners because the slate doesn't start till 7. But if you are watching this, please be sure to hit that like button. So now we'll jump game by game. We have an interesting schedule. It's 2 games today, 2 games tomorrow, but we got a late one tonight. Lineup lock at 7:00 p.m. Eastern time. And it starts with the Houston Roughnecks at the Orlando Guardians. And Bruce pointed out that they already played. They played week 1. So, Bruce, who are you targeting? Obviously, that game, Houston blew them out. We assume the same is probably going to happen this week. So who are you targeting in this Roughnecks Guardians game?
Mostly the Houston side here. They love to throw the football. They should get up pretty big on Orlando. If you look at John Trey Kirkland last week, his first half was so great.
I know.
And the second half, they just disappeared. They stopped going to him. I don't know if they doubled him or what, but it wasn't pretty the second half. First half, they just got out so big, and they just let put the brakes on a little bit.
Right.
I do think, the running backs here are interesting. Borgie has been banged up a little bit. I don't know how he came back in that game last week.
Right.
His knee looked horrible. I do think Aileen is interesting at 3,400. If you want a guy, he played 35% of the snaps. He looked great, averaging 3 targets per game almost. Should get some carries in this one as they should be ahead. I don't really want anybody else running back wise from this game, especially not on the Orlando side. They just can't do anything well there. Orlando's passing game though is interesting because they should be trailing.
Right.
If you look at Eli Rogers and Corey Latimer, those are the two. Or Cody Latimer. Those are the two guys. That have been getting the volume
right
here. They also added Lance Lenore, who got 76% of the snaps last week. He's only 3K. He had some big games in the old USFL. Yeah,
right.
Played in the USFL, had a trip with the Cowboys as well. So I think he's interesting at 3K if you need a cheap guy.
How many targets did he get last week?
I can't remember. I think it's.
I remember they called one back, I think, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he dropped an easy one too, which stinks. But he does have the talent. I mean, I'm a Cowboys fan, unfortunately, and I do remember him being good in the preseason for a while. So
right.
I think he's a good player if you need a guy for 3K. But Latimer's he's been doing it for a couple of weeks now, and he's only 5,600. So that's still cheap there. His ownership should be up there though. So just something to look out for. But I think Orlando's going to be having to throw the football in this one.
Right. Before we go over to Snyder, let me ask you this. If Borgie is in, would you still play Aileen to kind of just for value?
Yeah, definitely. I love his price. Also, I didn't talk about the best play in this game, and that's the Houston defense. Orlando can't block anybody. They've given up the most sacks, and Houston has the most sacks. So I think that's the best play in this game, other than maybe Kirkland. I just love the Houston defense this week.
Right. And one other question I had, Burnett had a big first week. What do you attribute to like Kirkland kind of seeming to get more of a solid target share than Burnett? Is it just the routes they run? Is it the cover? I mean, is there anything that you're attributing that to? Because I was kind of wondering, because I always kind of go back and forth between that in whether it's a Houston stack or not.
Yeah, I just think Kirkland's better.
Okay.
When you watch him on
That's
the
an
field,
easy answer. Yeah.
they just, he just looks better to me. So I just think he's the better all around receiver. Both went to big schools, but Kirkland just looks better.
Okay. Snyder, you made a solid call on Latimer last week. He was your core play. So yeah, stay tuned to the end of the show because we'll get these guys' core plays then. He was your core play last week. He was in the winning lineup. So do you like Latimer again? Of course, we got the Houston side that's much more attractive, but who are you targeting in this game?
Yeah, I'm always going to keep looking at Latimer there. I think he's like one of the only guys they're really looking at that. I think the ownership will probably be almost double, maybe triple what it was last week. I mean, we're not going to get him at like 15% again, which I think it'll be probably around 30 to 35% this week. But I expect Orlando to be down early again in this game, and I expect them to have to be able to throw here. And 5,600 is still a nice value tag on him, so I'm going to continue to keep playing him there. I think that's the only guy from Orlando I would kind of look at. And then when you get over to this Houston side, I do think it's going to be kind of contrarian if you want to like double stack Silvers. I think a lot of people will play like Kirkland, but if you want to stack Silvers with Kirkland and Burnett or another one of these receivers, I think that'll be kind of contrarian there. Because this total has like it's the third or tied for the worst lowest total on the whole slate here, like 37.5, I believe. There is 2 games with 40 plus totals this week, which is kind of interesting there.
You're right.
So I do like Kirkland. I think I'm going to continue to just jam him into my lineups too. I think he's just one of those volume hogs. I think playing Alien is kind of interesting in tournaments. So he's going to be under 5%, I think. And if Houston, they're a big favorite here, 9 points. If they do roll over these guys, I think we could see him getting more run in the second half too, which is going to be interesting. And it helps you open up some value to jam in some of these studs that we want to jam in this week. So definitely interested in that too. But yeah, I'm pretty much I don't think I'll play Silvers on my main team. I'm going to probably go elsewhere, but I do like Kirkland quite a bit. And if I have the money, I definitely want to play this Houston defense. I mean, they've been getting pressure on quarterbacks, bunch of sacks this year. They're in the nut spot here this week. 4,800 is kind of tough to pay up for this week, though, as I want some of these other guys. But if I can get there, definitely want some Houston defense.
I agree. I wrote up in my article how there seems to be 3 really aggressive defenses, and that's Houston, Arlington's aggressive, and DC. And then when you got the, double, it's like a double bonus when you've got the aggressive defense going against the worst offense in Orlando. So, I like that. Someone in chat, Joe Ruff said, favorite value receiver. Snyder, I'll go to you first. Do you have a favorite value receiver? I know we really like Kirkland here on the Houston side.
I'd probably have to go with Harris. There would be the main guy I would be looking at. He'll probably be like right around 5% owned. 5,300 is a good price tag for him, so I'd probably go with him.
Okay, is it Harris for you on the value receiver, Bruce? It seems to be getting a solid target share.
Yeah, for Houston, that would be the guy. He looked great last week. Yep.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, I think we covered that game pretty well. We're heading over to the late night game. If you're on the East Coast, grab a coffee or a soda to stay up for this one. It starts at 10 p.m. Eastern time. San Antonio Brahmas at the Seattle Sea Dragons. So we've got this Seattle offense loves to throw too. So that's what's beautiful about the XFL is there are certain offenses that we just know what they want to do. And we know that Houston and Seattle love to throw the ball. And DiNucci stacks were very profitable last week. So Bruce, are you going back to the DiNucci stacks? Who else do you like in this game in general?
Yeah, DiNucci this week is gonna see a ton of ownership. Just as the safest QB on the slate for sure.
Right.
I think he should be 40-50% owned here. I think he's still a good play. San Antonio, they've been bad against the good teams. They played Houston last week and just looked terrible. So on the defensive side, I do think do think Seattle probably has the most upside, most passes on the year, 145 passes to 53 runs. So that ratio is pretty nice. DiNucci and Gordon would probably be pretty popular after, Gordon went off last week. Pearson as well.
Right.
Some of these secondary receivers like VC and Jackson also looked good last week. So I think they're interesting. Major injury news to watch out for would be Morgan Ellison on the Seattle side.
Right, of course.
If for some reason he can't go, we have Darius Bradwell probably starting there. I would think he'd be active. They just signed him, so and he's the bigger back between him and Hammonds. Hammonds more of the receiving back type. So he's still priced up. He's only 400 less than Ellison. We haven't seen him at this level, so we don't know what he can do. Here. So I do like Josh Gordon a lot. I think he's one of my favorite plays. As I said, TJ Vasher's out for San Antonio, and Jalen Tolliver didn't play a ton last week. So their San Antonio receivers are kind of beat up, and they should be playing from behind as well here. So
right.
I know a lot of people played Darius Robertson last week, and he
sure did.
25% of the snaps after playing most of the game the week before.
That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Fred Brown got most of the snaps in his spot, and he looked good. He's actually well rated by PFF after the first couple weeks. Ran routes on 91% of dropbacks last week, so I think he's good. I think he's a good play, but you have to proceed with caution after what they did to us last week. So
right,
that's rough. But other than that, I don't. Other than the Seattle side, I really don't have too much interest in San Antonio's offense. I think Cones looked pretty bad. I think Balaj is interesting. He looked good last week and can catch the ball out of the backfield. So, they could be throwing to him a little bit as well. So, this is Seattle's offense is very interesting, but I like some other spots a little bit more.
Okay, I had two quick follow-up questions. If you had to take a San Antonio receiver, would it be Brown?
I think so.
Okay.
If you had told me that Tolliver's 100%, I'd probably lean there. But I think Brown looked the best last week, and if they go back to him, I think he's the guy.
I don't mind Elise Mack. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Elise Mack, the tight end, either. It's for some value. Either
sure.
That might be more of a showdown play, but it's something to keep in mind. Again, just if they're playing it from that negative game.
I think that's a good call. That's a great call. I think he's looked good. First couple weeks.
I wrote him up wrote up like some of these tight ends like Latimer, him just are getting solid targets and just are underpriced for their workload, basically. And my other question is, if Ellison is in, he was the first running back to get 100-yard bonus. Would you go back to him, or would it just make you nervous given the injury situation?
I still think he's a good play if he's in. He had 4.9 yards after contact last week, which is
he looked great last week.
Tops in the league, So if he's in, I think I'm in as well. His Nick, I heard an interview with him this week. I was driving around doing errands today, and his nickname is Juice. It's a
good running back nickname.
That's good. It's good to have a guy that give you some juice when he comes in.
Right. All right. I like it. All right, SNYDER. For the late night Saturday late night game, who are you targeting here?
Yeah, definitely looking at the Seattle side here in this game.
Right.
DiNucci has gotten better every week over the last 3 weeks. Put up 30-plus points last week. If I can fit it, I'm going to go there. I think it's going to be really tough to really stack up this team, though. It looks like Josh Gordon is going to be about half the ownership of Pearson. He did have that big game last week. That was the second in 3 games where he had 6 or more catches. He did find the end zone twice and finally hit that 100-yard bonus. So
right.
I think Josh Gordon is the great play for tournaments, probably at around like 15% or something, I think. So I really like him for large field tournaments and such. You can stack him up there or just play him as a one-off. I don't think it's possible. I haven't tried it, but I highly doubt. I guess it is possible, but it'd be tough. I'd be thin to play DiNucci, Pearson, and Gordon, but that would definitely be unique in tournaments. So if you want to go for that in a large field and just jam in a couple of these other value pieces, that's definitely interesting. And then Blake Jackson I think Blake Jackson may push Pearson for ownership. I think they're going to come in relatively the same. Maybe Jackson comes in at like 25% versus Pearson at like 35%, but they're both going to be popular. Jackson's a great value-ish kind of guy at 7,500. I'll have interest in him in tournaments, but I'm going to keep rolling with Pearson though. I feel the most confident and safe with him, so Pearson will definitely be making my my main team this week, and just not sure if I can get up to DiNucci in tournaments or not, but if I can, definitely would like him in there. And for the other side of the game here, the San Antonio side, I just don't see myself clicking any of these names. I know they're all going to be lower owned. You could play like their defense as like a super contrarian play too if you want to kind of leverage that, but I don't see myself going there or Robinson, or I'm not going to play really any of these guys. So it's just going to be the Seattle side for me, trying to mix and match some of these guys in there. Gordon, Pearson, Jackson, DiNucci, if I can fit it. And that's pretty much it for me here.
We got a question, a low-owned VZ. Either of you interested?
Yeah, I think he's fine for tournaments. He's probably going to be, like around 5% or so, I'd say.
Yeah, he'll be the lowest owned of the starters here. They run a lot of 4 receiver sets, and he got 72% of snaps last week. Average depth of target is almost 15 yards down the field. So, he's interesting. Score a touchdown or 2 for sure.
Right. Okay. Last thing I'll say about this is in showdowns, the Seattle defense, I don't know if you guys agree, has not been has been underwhelming to me.
Yeah.
So I certainly think in showdown you could play cone, just in that negative game script, like maybe like a cone and Mac or something like that in showdown specifically. Just that's something that I feel like a lot of times in XFL, kind of ignoring the running backs and doing, 2 quarterbacks for that, just like safe volume and maybe 1 defense is kind of a recipe. That's what's been working for me, at least so far. So I will say that for showdown, because the prize pool is bigger this evening in the 10 o'clock showdown tonight. So, all right, we're halfway through. We've got 2 more games that'll be tomorrow. But if you're watching live or if you're watching later before lock, be sure to hit the like button for us. We really appreciate it. And if you're not a Run Pure subscriber yet, you can use any of our codes. You can use, Bruce 15, Snyder 15, Meg 15, gets you 15% off your first month. So be sure to check it out, because again, you're getting all sports, one price, and you have a ton of great XFL news and information, which is key to help gaining an edge. So let's keep looking for an edge here on the Sunday side here. We've got, and there is a Sunday slate too tomorrow as well. So we've got at 4:00 tomorrow, we have the Arlington Renegades at the St. Louis Battlehawks. Battlehawks have been passing at a pretty good rate, and AJ McCarron has looked pretty decent. I believe, is it Aitman that went on IR, Bruce? So,
That's right.
I was doubting Hakeem Butler's snap share, and I was wrong to doubt that, because he has just been McCarron's go-to guy. Do you think that continues? Are you targeting Butler? Who are you really looking at in this game, Bruce?
Yeah, I think Butler is probably the guy. He looked great last week along with Shepard. I played Prohl, obviously, so still cashed with him, but he just was non-existent, even though he was out on the field 75% of the time. So
running wind sprints.
Yeah, that happens. So I'm very interested in the St. Louis passing game. Their run pass ratio so far, 49 runs to 139 passes. So.
Like that.
They're going to want to throw the football. I think Arlington has some injuries in the secondary as well. So, and this game is in St. Louis, where they have the best crowd in the XFL by far. I think they're expecting.
And is it their first home game too?
Yeah, first home game. They're expected to have 35K there. So that's crazy. It's going to be loud. So I do like the St. Louis offense. AJ McCarron and Shepard and Butler there. I think those are some good plays. You can go back to Prohl as well. I mean, he was out on the field, just didn't get any balls his way. So, a lot of times they bounce back and have a good one after that. So,
right.
Don't mind that one bit. Brian Hill is interesting. I thought he looked great last week for St. Louis, and they passed the ball to him quite a bit. And he looked good after his injury. So I'm in on him, especially on Prize Picks. I think his projection was really low, so I went in on that.
Nice.
And Arlington, 3 offensive touchdowns this whole season so far. I don't really love their offense. It's been really boring, hard to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I think St. Louis dominates this game at home. Sal Cannella is interesting as at the tight end spot. He kind of underperformed last week, but more work with Slaughter this week, and they should be trailing most of this game, I believe. So I like Cannella, and Tyler Vaughns is interesting again.
Right.
He looked good last week, and he was good in college as well. So I enjoy those two guys if you're gonna play them. I like St. Louis's defense a good amount too, even though they've been bad this season. They're at home, and it should be plenty loud.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, SNYDER, who are you kind of focusing on in this game? Do you like the St. Louis passing attack? Who are your targets?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to kind of play a couple pieces from this game. It does have the lowest total on the board at 36.5, which isn't terrible, but right. I think Hakeem Butler is a guy I'm going to be actively trying to jam in as many builds as I can. I really like where he's at. The price is good. I think he's the guy that's going to get priced up here probably next week. He'll probably be 9K plus. So I'm going to keep taking the value on him at only 8,300 right now while I can. I know it's probably going to be him or Pearson as the highest owned guys on the board, but I'll just jam a couple of those guys in and get different elsewhere. So I really like Butler. I think Hill is a solid fine price there at 6,600. Kind of a value-ish running back there. If I can get him to fit, that's fine there. I like his role that he has there. And then Proles, another pretty good. If my last guy in lands in that 6K range, I don't have no issue throwing him in there either. He's going to be rather lower owned, I think, maybe 10 to 15%. So I like that. And then from the Arlington side, just another one of those spots where I'm going to fade Smith. I know he's going to be one of the highest owned running backs. I'm just going to mark him off my board, just trying to cross off as much chalk as I can in spots that I don't necessarily want to pay up for a running back that much. So I'll probably be off him. Sal Cannella is an interesting guy there for sure. He's going to be lower owned this week than my guy, the other tight end. His name just slipped my mind.
Latimer?
Oh, Latimer, yeah. So I think Latimer is going to be the higher owned one this week, when last week he was about half the ownership. So I think Sal's a good play this week. I wouldn't have no issues throwing him in as like a one-off there, but I think I'm going to be targeting the next game a little bit more than this one, though. But I do like some St. Louis pieces, though, in this game for sure.
Right. Yeah. And it's good to get, like you said, good to get pieces. And I'm with you guys on Davion Smith. He's getting all the volume, a ton of volume, but God, has he not been efficient at all? So it's hard to like him if he's going to be chalky. So definitely agree with you guys there. Okay. We got the last game, 7:00 on Sunday, Vegas Vipers at DC Defenders. DC has a good home crowd too. They've been playing well. Defense has been playing very well, but there's definitely some offensive pieces in this game to look at too. So Bruce, who are you looking at the most in this game?
Yeah, I think the chalky spot's going to be Abram Smith in this game. Yeah, he's priced up. It's hard to jam wide receivers if you're playing an $8,400 running back. So I think I'm mostly staying away from him. Vegas is terrible at stopping the run. So I mean, you can play Armstead for 4,300.
Right.
It's been close to a 60-40 split there. So I don't hate that. You can come in and just fall in the end zone and get you there at that price. DC is going to run the ball. Most of their volume does come on the ground. 112 run plays to 87 pass plays this year. So they are gonna want to establish it a little bit there. So I don't really want much of their passing game other than maybe like Lucky Jackson, who's looked good.
Mm-hmm.
5 targets per game. And they are further down the field a little bit. So I think Chris Blair actually looked good last week too. So he's not bad. Caught a touchdown from De'Aaron King actually. So when King came in, people said he can't throw, but it sure looked good. Vegas throws the ball a good amount. I think
I was going to say they have a pretty high pass rate too, right?
Yeah, 105 passes to 67 runs so far.
Right.
A lot of that's due to them trailing, but they do run a hurry up style. So
that's
this
nice.
game could be nice. I think DC runs the ball, but they are faster than the average running team. So I like Jeff Bidet. That's probably the only guy that I like there in the passing game. But in tournaments, you can go Bryant or Allison there. DC loves to sell out on the blitz. So I forgot who they played last week, but someone hit them over the top.
St. Louis, they played McCarron last week. Yep.
St. Louis hit them a couple times over the top when they brought everybody. So, if there's 2 guys that can do it, it's these 2 outside ex-NFL guys like Brian and Allison. So I don't hate those guys in tournaments. They're still priced up. Their ownership's going to be like less than 3%. So, and it's with a team that loves to throw the football with Brett Hundley, who is listed as questionable this week. So if he doesn't go, they'll have Perez in there, and Perez can chunk it a little bit. So I don't hate that either. I think Hundley can come in at lower ownership just because of his availability.
Sure.
And I think he's one of the better QB plays, or one of the best QBs in this league. So
right.
I don't hate in tournaments just putting that off into the last day. You can always go Perez and take a shot there, or play one of the DC QBs. So
right, or certainly keep it in mind for Sunday only slate tomorrow too.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
yeah, I mean he looked good in that kind of back and forth with Danucci on the first game of last week's slate. So all right, Snyder, I know you kind of talked about maybe looking for some value with the DC second running back. Talk a little bit about that and who else you like in this game.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to be marking Smith off. It looks like Smith's almost twice as much costed, and he's going to be at least twice as much ownership, I think, than Armstead. So I'm just going to save the money here with Armstead and go down with him. I think he's a guy that could get, if he falls in the end zone once, that could be huge for us. So I actually like this DC team quite a bit. I think they're going to go a little lower owned than the other teams. So they got the highest implied team total on the slate here, the highest game total, I don't know if it's the highest implied team total, but it's the highest game total for sure. They're at 41.5 points. They're a touchdown favorite. I think Tamu is going to come in under 10% owned, and he's my favorite quarterback on the slate. He showed rushing upside last week, 10 carries, found the end zone on the ground and through the air. I thought he threw the ball fine, and if I was looking to pair him up with someone, it'd definitely be Lucky Jackson there at the nice price tag of $4,700. So definitely like some Tamu, Jackson, and Armstead will be the main 3 options I choose to attack in this game. And that kind of helps free up some salary there too, and help jam in a couple of those receiving studs there and some other guys I want. And I guess I didn't really talk about it, but I kind of plan on just full punting at defense, maybe jamming in Orlando's defense there, kind of getting away Contrarian there. It helps me load up on 2 or 3 of these stud receivers, and then I'm going to jam in probably Tamu and one of these value running backs, whether it's Armstead or one of those guys that were even cheaper. Just depends on how my builds end up, but definitely like Armstead, Jackson, and Tamu in this game.
Okay, I like it. Guys, if you have any questions, drop it in the chat. But as you're doing that, we're going to get these guys plays of the day. So Bruce, actually we have a question before we get to plays of the day. I think Blair at 4.5K. Do either of you have interest there?
Yeah, I think it's either Blair or Lucky Jackson there. Blair looked good last week, so I don't mind him. I like Jackson just a little bit more, $200 more there. but yeah, Blair will be underowned. I have Lucky Jackson at 24 and Blair at 5% ownership. So big ownership difference.
Oh,
there.
that's a big ownership discount. Yeah, absolutely.
For the same amount of snaps as last week. So Blair, the bigger wide receiver, and caught a long touchdown last week.
Okay, got another question for a showdown question. For the showdown tonight, San Antonio, Seattle, could we captain Mac and play DiNucci and the 3 Seattle receivers? Bruce, I'll go to you first. Thoughts on that build?
Yeah, I kind of like that. I think Mac's probably their most impressive wide receiver. I'm going to probably put up a playbook for that if it's not already.
Awesome.
I'll give it Bobby if he's going to do it or not. If not, I'll get something up for it. And that's the late game, right?
Oh, it's a very late game. Yeah, 10 o'clock Eastern. So plenty of time.
I'll put something together for that if Bobby isn't.
Awesome. Snyder, your thoughts on this build particularly?
Yeah, I agree with Brewster. I think that's a pretty tasty build there. I like it as well. I'll have to get some teams up too for that late night game as well.
Yeah, we'll all get our cores in. That's, again, the benefit of being a Run Pure subscriber. You get all these playbooks, these cores, everything, and we keep it coming. We even try to get it up for a couple of the big showdowns here for XFL. So you can continue to drop questions, but I will get your guys' plays of the slate here. So Bruce, who is your play of this week 4 XFL slate?
There's a lot of choices here, but I actually like Josh Gordon.
All right, I like it.
I think he's my play of the slate. He's matched up against the same cornerback that Kirkland did work on last week. So I like him at lower ownership than Pearson, and I'll probably have him everywhere. I'm just gonna lock him in there. High volume Seattle offense, so I just think he has a big week.
I like it. All right, Snyder, who is your play the week 4 XFL slate? You nailed it last week. No pressure.
I think I'm going to go with Jordan Tamu. I think he's going to find the end zone again, rushing and throwing. I think he's going to be – I could even see him being the highest scoring quarterback on the slate at what I think is going to be like under 10%. So he's the guy I'm going to kind of anchor my teams with this week at only 9.2K.
I like it. My play of the slate is going to be, and someone just touched on it, is I'm going to be heavy on the Houston and Seattle stacks. So I'm looking for some maybe cheap run backs, and I've got 2 for you. Cheap run backs, low ownership. Mac, the tight end from San Antonio, running back, and you can do this in Houston or Seattle stacks, but just in general to get that maybe just one value guy. I don't mind Mac from San Antonio, and then Eli Rogers from Orlando. I love Latimer too, but Eli Rogers is getting his share of targets too. And, if he can, he found the end zone 2 games ago. If he can find the end zone at less than 10% ownership, I think we're in a very nice spot to be able to, again, jam these stud other volume receivers. So if you have any other questions, drop it in, and let me get these just final thoughts for week 4. Final thoughts, Bruce, for week 4. Any tips? It could be Showdown Classic, anything.
No, I'm just mainly on the one running back build, 4 wide receivers. I just think it has more upside, especially in your tournaments. There's not, running backs aren't crushing, so just trying to get a little bit different in the main on the main slate and stuff those wide receivers that have high upside.
I agree. Snyder, any final thoughts for you for the week 4 XFL slate?
No, I think we pretty much covered it there. Just looking to kind of jam in as many of these stud receivers as I can in there, and hopefully keep it rolling here with the XFL. It's been a pretty good printer so far this year, and hopefully we keep it rolling. And I'll be back later today with Kurt. I think we're doing a playback today, actually, so it'll be over on the playback channel. That'll be posted on Twitter and over in the Run Pure Sports Discord chat. We'll be watching some of the golf as it comes to a close, and then talking through some round 4 strategy as well. Okay,
perfect. We want your round 4 showdown winners. What time does that start?
We're going to do it from 5 to 6 on playback, 5 to 6 Eastern.
Okay. All right. So definitely check that out. I know I will. Right after I get off the NBA show, I'll be on the NBA show later. We got a big NBA slate tonight too. So check out the NBA show and then head over and check out Snyder and Kurt on the playback and get some golf winners. We keep it coming here. So anyways, yeah, XFL has been a profitable one for us so far. Hopefully it can be again this week for us and for you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Be sure to check out our core plays and good luck this week. We will see you next time.